And now let's join Peter Neal on the last lap of the 1987 Senior TT race. Leading the race was Joey Dunlop by 39 seconds from Jeff Johnson.
Time differences at Ballacrane unofficially. Joey Dunlop, number 3, leading number 2, Jeff Johnson, by 49 seconds. Up into third place behind Johnson was number 11, Roger Marshall, 1 minute and 25 seconds down on Jeff Johnson. That's the first three there as we go now to the MCN box at Balaf.
Yes, for the final time in this, what's proved a very difficult race for all the competitors, I'm sure. There's none of them really enjoyed it, although it had all the makings of a terrific last lap. That's been roped now, and it's just a question of plodding home for Joey Dunlop. And, of course, Jeff Johnson, for the second year in succession, faces the possibility of a second place. And here now is Dunlop, having nipped past a couple of other riders from the previous lap for the final time here in this event. Dunlop then goes through. There are 3 other back markers whom he's overtaken fairly recently, I should think, and who've had an education in how to go in the wet. So all this now is Dunlop's lead. He couldn't possibly be losing to Jeff Johnson because Johnson started 10 seconds ahead of him. So it's what's on the watch plus 10 seconds. That's the easy way to time it. 49 seconds it was. And therefore it will be 39 seconds on the watch here if that gap is to be maintained, of which now 29 seconds have elapsed. So I would expect to see Jeff Johnson coming to us in about 2 or 3 seconds now. 37, 38, 39, here he is, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. 46 seconds, so the gap now is 56 seconds. In fact, you've got to add the 10 seconds that Jeff Johnson started ahead of Joey Dunlop at the start of the race. So 56 seconds, that is a further 7 seconds between Joey Dunlop and Jeff Johnson, between Ballacrane and here, which is 10 miles, a second and a half a mile. That would give him, at the current rate of progress, about another 25 seconds and a win by about 1 minute and 20 altogether, I should think. So it's pretty comfortable for Joey, if comfortable be the word, in these pretty poor conditions. Third man, Roger Marshall, through Balaf. But it's Dunlop's race, bar anything unforeseen, as we return you from a soggy Balaf to the motorcycle news commentary point at the TT Grandstand.
So for the 4th and final time in the Senior TT, let's go to the motorcycle news commentary point at the bungalow.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Indeed, the 4th and final time for the Senior TT, because the conditions here are appalling. But here's Dunlop, and they come out of the mist just as quickly as that and disappear from view just as they go under the footbridge. So Dunlop safely through on his 4th and final lap. So some 7 more wet and miserable miles for Dunlop. In fact, less than that, because he's been gone through here some seconds now. A 10-second starting interval between him and number 2, Jeff Johnson. And I can give you some indication of how consistently, however, Dunlop has been moving in terms of his progress from Balaf to here. There's Johnson, second place man Jeff Johnson, also through the bungalow on his 4th and final lap. His progress from Balaf to the bungalow on lap 1 was 8 minutes, certainly the quickest of the laps. A slow lap then, number 2, as number 95, Dave Willems, goes through, 8 minutes 36, and on laps 3 and 4, both occasions, 8 minutes 31 from Balaf to the bungalow. So the news on this 4th and final lap of the Senior TT is that Dunlop has extended his lead to 62 seconds. He'll be powering down the mountain. Let's make sure we get him for that checkered flag as we hand you back to the motorcycle news commentary position at the grandstand.
Joey Dunlop, your man, is at signpost corner number 3. The light comes on, and he has now got this, just about a mile and a bit, and very gingerly too. I'm sure he'll take it down to the left-hander at Bedstead, then a short, straight, usually taking that, maximum revs, but slower today, I would think, and then very gently picking his way around the Nuke, the right-hander, and then down the squiggly bits to the Governor's Bridge dip, which can be, or to the hairpin itself first, which can be very, very tricky in the best of times, but today must be very, very slippery indeed. And as I talk, he's here. This is Joey Dunlop. What a man, what a rider, and what a victory. Joey Dunlop in conditions, they've been terrible, haven't they? But does that stop Joey Dunlop? His average speed, I wonder, will it be over the 100 miles an hour? It was 100.35 just for the first 3 laps. I think we'll be talking about an average speed of somewhere around about 97. So it is a race record for a 4-lap senior. The other one we talked about earlier was 88.12 miles per hour. That was the back in 1954. But isn't it strange to be talking about a senior TT with an average speed of under 100 miles per hour? Still waiting for the second man, who is not even indicated at signpost corner as yet. and that will be number 2, Jeff Johnson. We have an unofficial time for the race. In fact, yes, here he is. Again, the light was not on. The light was not on for number 2 as well as number 5. So the time difference was some 58 seconds, just about the same as it was at the bungalow. A couple of seconds more. In fact, no, slightly less, 4 seconds less. So, as I was saying, an unofficial time for Joey Dunlop at the end of the 4-lap race of 1 hour, 30 minutes, 40.8 seconds. Let's go down now and join Charlie Williams, who's with Joey.
Joey Dunlop, a fantastic ride there, a really good ride. You told me before the race that you didn't want to go out there. You said you'd be glad when it was over. Was it as bad as all that?
No, I think it was worse. I never rode in conditions like that in my life.
So, what about the tyres? Because you only had an intermediate tyre on, and I guess it wasn't enough for the conditions, really.
No, I had a hell of a lot of trouble in the second lap and the third lap, and then the last lap when the rim went off, it started working a bit again. But I was near off more times than enough.
It was that bad?
And all the snow places, you just couldn't keep it underneath you at all.
And what about Phil Mellor? Because Phil must have given you a bit of a shock there on the third lap when he came by you on the way to Ramsey. Where did he actually pass you?
Well, he passed me at the end of Silver Straight, but I didn't know whether he had refueled or not. I had no idea of what was happening, but I knew he had full wets on. But then I passed him again coming down the mountain, but I didn't know he'd fell off there.
Well, he fell off at the right-hander just before Governor's Bridge, the nook just going into Governor's Bridge. That's 10 TT wins for you now, Joey. That's you're really on the record trail now, another 4 or another 5 at least, and you'll be the one with the most wins on the Isle of Man. Fantastic ride, Joey. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. No more today.